Well, the project's all done now, I think, and without a keen eye, you wouldn't even be able to tell which one's the one I custom built. Obviously it's the bottom one, but yeah. Put the rack gears back on the case, and well, looks like just like any other R520. Even put some blanks in the spots that don't have drives. You will notice that the display doesn't light up. Also, the normal power button light color is green, not blue. But that's neither here nor there. The thing that really gives it away though is the back. I don't have another set of cable management arms, unfortunately, but yeah, as you can tell, something looks a little funny about that server. But worked out the way I expected it to, for the most part. So let's pull it out real quick. I can pull it out most of the way. I do run into an issue right now with the cables. There we go. I was able to do it one-handed. Now hopefully, don't pull it out too far. Alright, I think that's about as far as it'll go. So one issue I'm having is it tends to bind when I open it because it's tweaking the back of that case because it lost its rigidity. So if it does get stuck, I kind of found I can wiggle the lever until it releases. It's going to be hard to do one-handed. We're going to use a knee. Oh boy. There we go. So the final product hasn't changed too much. I ended up adding some more fans because I was a little worried about the hard drives getting warm. But even when they were under constant load doing a backup, they got to 36 Celsius for the peaks. And I think it's like in the mid-70s Fahrenheit in here. I don't know what that converts to in Celsius. So they got a little warm, but not within anything to worry about. I did end up adding some more 80mm fans. So this one is screwed in. And this one, yeah, this one I kind of zip-tied haphazardly. Could do a little bit better job with some of this cable management, but I think I'll be fine. This one took me a while to figure out, and what I ended up doing was hot gluing it into place and hot gluing it to the adjacent fan. Plus I add a little hot glue here because this fan is just being held in by that screw right there, and that seems to work. The funny thing about this setup is the power supply is the noisiest piece in it. I think these fans do generate some noise. Those fans are reasonably quiet. They're quiet enough. But most of the noise coming from this chassis is the two 40mm fans in that power supply. And the funny thing about it is, not so hot right now, but the power supply was generating more heat than I was expecting considering the load I have it under. I think you figure about 10 watts per spinning hard drive, maybe 15. So that's 65 watts there, maybe another 50 watts to run the motherboard. Let's say 20 watts for the fans. So that's like 140 watts total or something. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously I can't pull the hard drives out because these aren't plugged into a backplane. Also, it's kind of a shame because no indicator lights. But overall, I was getting full gigabit transfers, which is what I expected. I mean, I already knew that this motherboard here can handle gigabit networking while transferring files off of these 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives. And there should be enough airflow. This doesn't feel particularly warm. I do wish I had a cover on that, but I can't put fan screws in the top of this because the hole's too big. I did manage to cut my finger. Oop, doesn't autofocus. Cut my fingertip up a little bit on the blades because my fingers went in a naughty spot. Oh, got an inspector. What's up, Onyx? Um, Luckily where I mounted my solid state drive, it clears the rails, so I'm really happy about that. And I like where I have it. This is a great spot to make it easier to replace if I need to, which is unlikely. Because if I put it in one of the hard drive bays, it's a lot more difficult to get to those cables. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's been performing great. Let's see here. I'm gonna play fire here a little bit. As you can see, let's put this in full screen. There we go. As you can see, it's just sitting idle right now. The CPU got up to 70 Celsius, I believe, which is whatever. I mean, I don't think it mattered. It just thermal throttle. And I think I gave this one drive redundancy, if I remember right. Because this is a idle backup, basically. It's just going to be used occasionally. So, yeah, plenty of space still for now. I technically won't have enough space once I make some changes to my primary NAS, but I think that'll just have to be something I figure out down the road. But, reporting, where's reporting? There we go. So if we go to disks, select all. And that's currently what we're sitting at for temperatures. A lot of 30s basically. I think if it gets a little hotter in here, maybe it'd get up to the 40 Celsius range, but my understanding is 50 Celsius is like the top end that these 3.5-inch drives can handle, so yeah. Otherwise, it looks like my drives must be fine. I'm not getting any alerts. No warnings. But yeah, I think this was worth doing. It was a fun project, and it's going to be more space efficient than my old box that I was running, which was a 4U custom build. I like the Dell rails. Dell rails are really nice. I haven't really had much experience with the other rails. The Cisco rails are okay. The HP rails seem like they're okay. But you just get into these custom builds, and like, the rails are just terrible. This case here tends to bind. And I don't know if it's binding because there's some sort of width issue with the rails. Or if I need to oil them. But it just doesn't go in and out as smooth as the Dell rails do. I don't have anything good to grab on right now. There we go. Like, these just go in and out real nice. But yeah, I don't think there's much I would change. I think this is a really good use for those old servers you have sitting around if you need a chassis that's, you know, 2U, especially if you have the rails. I mean, if you have the rails, by all means, if you want to do some arts and crafts and get creative, like, this is great. It's really not bad. The temperatures are reasonable. Not as low as I'd like, but reasonable. I'd be a lot happier if these stayed consistently at 30 Celsius, but I mean, yeah, really the biggest downfall of this setup is expansion cards would be difficult. I'd have to get a right angle riser, and then I'd have to figure out a way to support the card so it doesn't like sag into the motherboard or whatever. But that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. And I didn't have to use a 3D printed tray. I mean, I could have taken like several sheets of cardboard and glued them together and then hot glued the standoffs in place. Or I could have taken an old computer case and cut the motherboard tray out of it. There's easier ways this could have been done. But in the end, I like the fact that I only have one cable coming out. I did consider the possibility of plugging like a KVM into the VGA and USB ports find one that'll go over like Cat 5. But there's really no reason why I should ever need to access the motherboard again. TrueNAS is running, and as long as it boots, and that's it. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say, if you're feeling adventurous and you have some, worthless server on hand, I'd go for the project. I think it was worth doing. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that was interesting, and I enjoyed it at least. So, thanks for watching.